from the party people. We started this kind of preliminary tour in Ashanti region last week or so, and again, the reception was just awesome. The reception from the party, current executives, the former executives, the members of parliament, the former members of parliament, indeed all the rank and file of the party. And we saw a repeat of the same thing in the eastern region with very high spirits, and it was quite obvious that the spirit of the NPP was still strongly behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
So where are you guys going next?
We are going to the central region on Monday. So we'll do 2 days in the central region, and then we'll come to Greater Accra before we then hit the road for the main constituency by constituency tour.
All right, let's go back to the eastern region.
Okay.
So there were some endorsements for him from some members of parliament, I think 15 of them.
Yes.
I mean, your opponents say that, I mean, this is what, fan-fooling, and that, you know, they don't really support Dr. Bawumia, they're just doing it for the cameras.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You know, as I was saying before we got on air, in any contest, when you hear one side beginning to complain a lot and always make excuses, it just means one thing, that side is losing. But I would go directly to the question you asked. You see, I hate when we try to create this impression that people are manipulatable or like they are clay in the hands of people to be molded. I don't think the members of parliament are children,
of course,
or they can easily be manipulated to do A or B. It's especially in the current context that we have, it is not so easy to show your face on one side and then go to the other side. So for all of them to boldly come forward and be speaking to their constituents on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I don't think it's a small thing. But again, I also see how our opponents will try to downplay this kind of event. It only means that it really hit them at the core of their campaigns.
What is your strategy? I mean, because it looks like Dr. Bawumia's opponents, they wait for him to make a move and then they sort of downplay it. What is Dr. Bawumia's strategy? He says that he's selling his ideas across the country. Aside that, I mean, what else is he doing?
Well, I think that's basically the entire strategy. I mean, the best I can put out here in public is exactly what you said. You know, it's always been his philosophy and his style of doing politics by speaking to the issues and being very honest. And it's quite understandable, especially in this contest. He is the front runner by all accounts, and he's the immediate past. So we would actually expect him to be taking the lead while others follow. It can get a little distracting to constantly have to be fending off attacks from our own people and then from trying to also keep the NDC government on their toes. But it's quite understandable considering the situation that we find ourselves in. So that's exactly the strategy. The strategy is to go back to the delegates of the party. These are people His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has been working with for a very long time. We know he really came to the forefront of our national politics somewhere in 2007 when he was made the running mate to the former president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And throughout this whole time, he's had to interact with these people because the difference and what makes these kinds of elections different is that it's a delegate election. It's like a family. It's like a family deciding who leads it. So most times you know a lot of the players involved and you've worked with a lot of players involved. These are constituency executives, these are council of elders, these are polling station executives, all people he has campaigned with from 2007, all people that know his character and capability very well. So mostly it's about going back to them again and reminding them of the journey that they've been on and to tell them that the journey hasn't ended yet and we are all needed together to be able to get to our destination.
So he talks about Edidija. I mean, what does he mean when he says that
So, you know, it's something that everybody knows in this country that the NPP suffered a huge defeat in December 2024. In the aftermath of that, the party and many key holders, I think most people just wanted to understand what went wrong. And especially when you look at the figures and you see how much apathy we lost in our strongholds and everything, it was important that as a party we tried to understand what was going on. And one of the main issues that kept coming up is the neglect of the grassroots. They felt neglected, they felt left behind. And these are concerns that His Excellency takes very seriously, because what we all have to take note of is that a political party is basically like a machine, is an organization that works for power. And people usually expect that at the end of all of that, not devoid of qualification, obviously we will look at qualification, but they would expect that at the end of that, all of that, there is some appreciation. Because I mean, not to just digress, but we look at the NDC right now, we've seen situations where people are fighting over school feeding slots, people are doing that, and if things like that continue to fester, the people that felt like they put in so much effort in opposition, they did all the house to house, they did all the work, if it continues to be a trend that they are not involved in the decisions of governments and in the policies, it sort of brings some apathy. And we realize that that's a big part of what affected our figures. And so that's something that he wanted to improve. And even if you look at his promises for the primary going into 2023, it's almost as if he could foresee some of these things, because a lot of these promises are promises that he made in 2023 during the primaries, that appointments will be made more fairly. Because let's face it, I know sometimes people find it weird when we are talking about these kinds of things at this time. But the truth is the commander-in-chief or the president of the country would have to form his government. He would have to make appointments. And those appointments have to be done looking at credibility and competence, but they also have to be done evenly across.
Of course, an affiliation to the party. Right?
Yes, of course. I don't like trying to hide from that, but all of that is important. And it's also important that it's shared evenly. So if it is 10 per constituency, then at least everybody feels involved in the process. Okay. Then another thing that he noticed was the welfare of our party people. There are even polling station agents where undergoing their duties, maybe posting flyers or something, they get into trouble. We met this young man in Central Region who had been electrocuted, undergoing his duties as a polling station agent. And it's sad that right now as a party, there's no safety nets for those kinds of things. So he also spoke about setting up a welfare system for the delegates so that their needs can better be attended to. The third one was something that I think would really go a long way to help our national development in general, which is the constituency-based budgeting, to decentralize the way we do our budgets so that the people would actually receive what they need.
Finally, before I let you go, is Dr. Bawumia a winnable candidate? I mean, there are arguments that his performance in 2024 means that he cannot take the presidency for the NPP in 2028. From what you've seen going around the country with him, do you think that he is a winnable candidate for the NPP?
I do believe he's absolutely a winnable candidate, and I hope you give me just a few minutes to
30 seconds.
I need like a little bit, because I think this is one of the biggest questions that people use. Okay. And to me, I think it's quite simple. Again, we spoke about how Dr. Bawumia was the front runner in pole position, and there are a lot of things that have been done and said about him that it makes it quite difficult for opponents to come up with clear messaging. That's usually how I see it. Because if you want to go on having lost an election, funny enough, all the other main contenders in this election have lost. One contender lost the primaries, didn't even get up to 40%. If it's about previous defeats, he should also be counted out. Another contender contested in one constituency, lost about twice before settling where he is and won. So I always say that it's never been the case in this country that a prior defeat has been used as like a trump card to say somebody is not winnable. Right. Dr. Bawumia has been marketed the most, and even considering the very tough election that we had in 2024 with most incumbent governments losing, he was still able to get up to 42%. So I don't think the argument that he's not a winnable candidate holds at all, especially if you are comparing it to the other candidates, because it's clear that he's been around the country. Everybody knows him. I don't know if you saw that video of I think it was school children, and they were asked who was the vice president of this country. I don't know if you've seen that video. No, it was a delight. I think you should see it. About 8 out of 10 of the kids actually thought currently our vice president was His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
All right, I think we need to go.
Yeah, so
We've
I think
done more than 30 minutes.
When it comes to winnability, it's
thank
clear.
You very much. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Dr. Kuya Amwakum. She's an aide to NPP presidential aspirant, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Away from politics, the railway